next section talks specifically about being a poll watcher at a nursing home and closing a precinct. And that's where you can have a really big impact without necessarily giving your whole day, right? Because these happen at specific time. So like poll watching at a nursing home voting is unfortunately home to some of the most egregious fraud due to the easy target that population represents. Over the past several elections, it has been found that when no poll watchers were present, large numbers of nursing homes voted at 100% turnout, which is what we talked about before. When poll watchers were present, by their very presence, preserving the rights of existing nursing home residents to choose whether to vote or to decline, as well as ensuring that nobody is voting the ballot of a deceased former nursing home resident, turnout has never been 100%. So this is just by having someone who's there. It's amazing. It's sad sometimes when you think about human nature, this desire. Anyway, nursing home voting is technically vote by mail voting, but conducted at nursing home facilities in Illinois for those nursing home residents who have applied for a vote by mail ballot. Often a nursing home will apply for ballots for all its residents. Some may move out of the nursing home before the time of voting, pass away, or simply have no desire to vote. So that's interesting. So the nursing home administrators say this is going to be, we are going to be a mail-in voting, vote by mail group, and order the ballots for everybody. And then they have to sort out who's actually filling them out, essentially.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Voting is conducted by election judges, the number of which varies greatly. Nursing homes are supposed to be staffed by election judges from the two major political parties equally, but this is often not the case. Nursing home election judge positions are sometimes considered plum positions as they can be paid rather well for a short amount of time compared to election day. Poll watchers are allowed to be present. Often the nursing home will provide staff to provide one-on-one voting assistance to each elderly voter. And if you witness fraud while poll watching at a nursing home, you can politely call the election judge's attention to the issue. If the fraud has already occurred, the goal would be to avert fraud from happening again. If another election judge seems like he or she knows the rules and is willing to follow them, bring the issue to the attention of that election judge. If the state's attorney has a representative present, bring it to the attention of the state's attorney. You can call a campaign or political party for whom you are a poll watcher, and they may have someone nearby who can help or can complain to the election authority. You can call the election authority to report the possible fraud, and you can detail in writing the incident with much detail as possible, including the date, the time, and the election judge's name will be on his or her badge along with his or her party. And if the election judge has the name badge facing inward, so you can't read it, then you can jot down the physical description and ask for his or her name at the end of voting. If he or she refuses to provide his or her name, indicate that refusal in your notes. Nursing home vote on Friday or Saturday before Election Day, and a few will vote on the Sunday or Monday before Election Day. So most nursing home voting lasts less than 3 hours and sometimes just an hour. So you can help stamp out fraud by investing that short period of time. So to request to poll watch for a nursing home, contact your political party of choice or your candidate of choice. And if your local political party does not exist or is not knowledgeable regarding nursing home poll watching, contact your state political party of choice, and they can get you connected with people who will be thrilled to have you assessed. So that's a really great way to participate. So do you want to talk about closing a precinct, or do you have some comments around nursing home poll watching?
Yes, I'd just like to comment a little bit about nursing home voting. That is, near and dear to my heart, I think, because I think to see, senior citizens taken advantage of, I just think, we kind of need to stand up for them. And one thing I want to point out about if I said some would last less than 3 hours, some only 1 hour. And in advance, it can be predicted how long they'll last. Because in advance, we would know how many ballots each nursing home requested. So if a nursing home only requested 9 ballots, you could see that would be one that would be over within an hour. So even if you only have a little bit of time, you could volunteer and say, I really just have an hour. Or you could say, I'm only free in the morning or only in the afternoon, something like that. And last, I'll just say, I have over the years gotten a handful of handwritten notes from spouses or children of people at nursing homes who said, I'm writing you only signing my first name because I'm afraid of repercussions to my spouse or my parent. But at the nursing home, my spouse or parent who is fully lucid reported to me they weren't allowed to vote their own ballot. And I thought you should know. And I think if somebody's going to the trouble to send me that because they know I was an election attorney, that there must be a lot, right?
There must be a lot going on, right?
There's a lot going on. So I just think, and because at nursing homes, most people at nursing homes need assistance with voting. So many people will be receiving assistance at the same time. So it's impossible to have too many poll watchers there. So if 4 friends wanted to poll watch together at the same nursing home, that would be great and not a waste of their time.
Yeah, well, that's good to know. Thanks for sharing that experience. Yeah, it is really sad to think that some of our citizens are being taken advantage of. So,
but we can stop it by being a poll watcher.
It is. I'm wondering, like there's some nursing homes or, some homes for people with Alzheimer's, those memory centers. How is that handled? Are they like just not considered able to vote or how does that work?
That's a tricky thing. So voting is a fundamental right. So every adult who's registered has a right to vote. And so that can be exercised in different ways, but there is no test for that. So if somebody has complete dementia, but they still want to take the ballot and mark it as they will, that's completely fine and legal, and that ballot can be voted. Or if somebody can't physically mark on their own ballot, if they just want to point to who they want to vote for, that also is completely fine, and that ballot can be voted. Now, I point out you have to follow that person's intention. And so if that person pointed to, say, every candidate for U.S. president, indicating they wanted to vote for all of them, that person assisting is bound to mark all of them, even though that would be an overvote. But, somebody who, needs assistance is entitled to overvote if they choose to, just as anyone else is.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. So do you want to talk about closing a precinct?
So similarly to nursing home voting, by closing a precinct as a poll watcher, you can eliminate large amounts of fraud by simply being present for a small amount of time. Specifically, you would arrive by 6 p.m. on election day and stay until the voting machine data is processed, consolidated, and transmitted to the election authority, and all the voting equipment and ballots are secured. So you would want to ensure that the polls close on time, which in Illinois is 7 p.m., that at that time, the election judges indicate the last voter currently waiting to vote and don't allow latecomers to vote, that at 7 p.m., the polling location is in fact closed. Any poll watcher already inside before 7 p.m. is allowed to remain, but nobody may enter the polling location after the polls are closed. As noted above, in the rare instance where a circuit court judge, not an election judge, orders that a polling place stay open late, all ballots cast by voters who arrive after 7 p.m. are to be provisional ballots and kept completely segregated, even from other provisional ballots cast earlier that day. So you would ensure that this law is followed by observation or a polite reminder to an election judge if necessary. You would observe election judges process defective or damaged ballots. You would closing of the electronic logbook and transmittal of votes. You would observe election judges secure blank ballots to prevent the possibility of the ballots being voted during or after they are transported back to the election authority. And you'd record the serial numbers of the seals that are used to secure all voting materials. Most poll watchers are finished by 9 p.m., at the latest, barring any major problems. So from just that 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. time commitment, you can make a big difference.
So, that could be, so those are like two ways that you can really make a big difference in your community, by being a poll watcher in a nursing home or at closing at the end of the day. So here there's like some, some ways of taking action, to be an election judge or a poll watcher. We've talked about contacting your local party or candidate of choice regarding your interests, and then they'll be grateful to guide you through the process. You can also contact the election authorities for your state, right? And then for election judges, generally it's best to contact them maybe 4 months in advance. And for poll watchers, it seems like 1 or 3 months. But then in some states, applications are available from the local election governing body in most of the states. So do you have like some comments about how do you register? Do you have to really do it way ahead? Like right now would be a good time, I guess, to register for election judge, right? In the spring?
Yeah. So people could start looking now, and it will. The applications will be available at different times in different states. So I think that's why we say 4 to 6 months. But in recent years, there have been, partly as the senior population that had maybe been election judges for many years. We talked about earlier, some people, due to technology requirements, are choosing not to do it. Most states have increasingly more vacancies than maybe in some past years. So the reason we suggest partly looking into this in advance is maybe you want to serve with a friend, or maybe you want to serve in your home precinct. If you wait till later, that spot might be full. So, look in advance, but I've seen these filled later and later, down to the last minute. So I would never assume that it's too late. I'd always look into it.
Yeah, right. And is that also, do precinct captains from political parties, is that also part of their responsibility to find like poll watchers? Like, do they do that also? They try to recruit within their party, because that is a political activity, right? You need to be associated to a party.
Well, associated to a party or to a candidate.
So to a candidate, okay.
Only want to help a candidate. And there will be that are nonpartisan. And a candidate
that's right. Oh, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, that's right. You can just be with a candidate. So
or to a referendum.
Yeah. Or to a referendum, or to a ballot initiative. Okay.
Yeah, well, so there's many ways to be a poll watcher. And about the precinct captains. So some places have precinct captains, and some areas people might say, I don't know if I have a precinct captain, and it turns out there is no precinct captain. And so that doesn't preclude anyone from being a poll watcher or an election judge. Precinct captains, I think, do traditionally try to recruit people, but many places don't have precinct captains doing that. And so anyone can directly reach out to a campaign, to a political party. Just call the election authority directly in your state. Call your county clerk. I would start there if you don't have a particular campaign or anyone you're supporting.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Laura, for going through. There's several resources here in the brief where we have links to a list of common terms. There's a report by the Heritage Foundation. It's called "Does Your Vote Count? Ensuring Election Integrity and Making Sure Every Vote Counts." And then we also recommend throughthevote.org and as a place to go to learn more about what it entails. And then this is a great occasion to talk to the candidates or the party and really consider being an election judge or a poll watcher. Do you have additional recommendations? I think this was a really great conversation. I encourage everyone to review this brief, discuss it, talk about it, find allies to say, yeah, we'll do this together, and maybe make it a family affair. So I don't know if you have some other comments, Laura, to conclude our conversation today.
My only other comment is if you're kind of not sure and want to get your, just maybe try it out for a couple hours to be a poll watcher at a nursing home or closing a precinct, I guarantee you will have wonderful stories to tell. And when you talked about, do precinct captains recruit people? In my experience, what I've observed is the people who recruit people are the people who did it before. If you do it one time and you're sort of, I'm not sure what I'm getting into, everyone has had such interesting experiences. They have in the future just wanted to recruit their friends and family to do it as well.
To do it as well. Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. So, well, thank you. Thank you again. And then we'll see. It will be interesting, and perhaps we can have a future deep dive around just mail-in, and even I'm thinking the technology around voting technology. And I'm wondering who develops that technology, who pays for it, how do we ensure that it's actually fair technology? How do we audit the technology that is built, especially with artificial intelligence being used more and more to do this? So that would be a really great topic for a future conversation. So thank you so much. Thank you.